Personal jurisdiction. Personal jurisdiction refers to the power that a court has to make a decision regarding the party being sued in a case. Before a court can exercise power over a party, the U.S. Constitution requires that the party has certain minimum contacts with the forum in which the court sits. It is a fundamental concept in the legal system that ensures fairness and due process in legal proceedings. Personal jurisdiction determines whether a court has the right to hear a case and render a binding judgment against a defendant. Waiving personal jurisdiction. Personal jurisdiction can generally be waived. Contrast this with subject matter jurisdiction, which cannot be waived, so if the party being sued appears in a court without objecting to the court's lack of personal jurisdiction over it, then the court will assume that the defendant is waiving any challenge to personal jurisdiction. In order for a court to exercise personal jurisdiction over a defendant, certain requirements must be met. These requirements vary depending on the jurisdiction and the type of case involved, but generally, there are two main types of personal jurisdiction. General jurisdiction. A court has general jurisdiction over a defendant if the defendant has such extensive contacts with the jurisdiction that it is considered to be at home there. Typically, this means that the defendant is a resident of the jurisdiction or has a principal place of business there. Under general jurisdiction, a court can hear any type of claim against the defendant, even if the claim is unrelated to the defendant's contacts with the jurisdiction. Specific jurisdiction. A court has specific jurisdiction over a defendant if the defendant's contacts with the jurisdiction are directly related to the claim being brought against them. The court's power is limited to the specific issue or transaction that gave rise to the claim. In order for a court to exercise specific jurisdiction, the defendant must have sufficient minimum contacts with the jurisdiction, and the exercise of jurisdiction must be fair and reasonable. Determining whether a court has personal jurisdiction over a defendant can be a complex legal analysis that involves considering factors such as the defendant's physical presence or business activities within the jurisdiction, the nature of the claim, and any applicable state or federal laws. Typically, for a court to have personal jurisdiction over a defendant, the plaintiff needs to serve the defendant in the state in which the court sits, and the defendant needs to voluntarily appear in court. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure Rule 4(k) describes whether a state's courts would have the authority to adjudicate a claim as it relates to personal jurisdiction. The rules and standards for establishing personal jurisdiction can vary between countries and even within different regions or states within a country.